and welcome to yet another episode of Yeah, We Read It. I am one of your hosts, Meggie,
And a spoiler alert, I'm also one of your hosts. My name's Laura.
and we are here recording the third episode of the Gossip Girl series, All I Want Is Everything. In the last book, I truly don't even know where we left off. I think Nate was starting to be with Jenny, Vanessa and Dan were a thing, and
Yeah, everybody got smitten, kissing, and canoodling at the wedding except for Blair. But Blair and Serena are friends again, which is great for them.
yes, they are friends again. Blair has the stepbrother, the weird thing going on with him. Kind of seems
Yeah. Yeah, and even after this book, I still have so many more questions because I'm like, what are you going for, Cecily? Tell me what are you trying to do, a will they or won't they? Are you making a commentary on this shouldn't be happening and that's why it isn't happening? I feel like she needs to have a hard stance of like, I'm just gonna fully go for it, fuck it, or it's not gonna be a thing.
yeah, I don't know because I feel like step sibling. I mean, I brought it up in the last episode, I'm sure, about the whole step sibling thing being a weird trope in media for a
Yeah.
while. Maybe Clueless is the only one that comes to mind, but it seemed like for a while in media, the lines were very blurred about if it was okay or not. And it seemed like people didn't really care.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, we're going to talk about it more because boy, does this episode revolve a lot around that exact detail. Um, so let's start with a little bit of a Gossip Girl intro. I realized as I was taking my notes, I was like, I don't think we referenced a single Gossip Girl post last book because nothing really happens in the Gossip Girl posts.
no.
But at least this Gossip Girl post that starts the book kind of gives us the lowdown on like what has happened in like the 2 weeks since that wedding. It is Christmas time in this city. Serena and Blair are besties again, and they are all currently at a dance. Blair and Serena are watching Nate and Jenny slow dance. And Aaron, Blair's stepbrother with dreads and smokes herbal cigarettes, he asks Blair to dance with him. And she says no or starts ignoring him because she doesn't give a shit. And Blair's very standoffish. And we are introduced to Aaron's friend, Miles, who is also rich.
Yeah, Miles is also rich. I kind of visualized him as the lead singer of Sugar Ray. He's got
That's such a good comparison.
thank
He's
you.
so Mark McGrath.
Yes, he's got like the blonde spiky hair. Miles also has a bit of a crush on Blair, so that's gonna bode horribly for Aaron, who also has a crush on Blair. But Blair's like way too cranky to reciprocate anyone because
Yeah.
of everything that's going on with Nate. It doesn't really matter though because it seems like her and Serena are going to St. Bart's for Christmas, which rules.
Honestly, I want to do that one Christmas. That sounds amazing. Yeah, Blair's entire family is going to St. Bart's, and her and Aaron each get to bring a friend. So she is bringing Serena. Also at this dance, Chuck ends up making some offhand comment to Blair
Ew,
that
yeah.
he'll take her virginity if she, is still looking for someone too. And I was like, Chuck is so gross. I'm so glad he's not like very visible in these books as they continue, but boy, does anytime he pop up, I get mad.
Yeah, he's a repulsive guy. Jenny, though, she is having the time of her life because, as we mentioned at the end of the second book, she is with handsome boy Nate Archibald. She
Who loves
is
his burritos?
loves his burritos. Can't get enough of them. If I could hand a coupon to Chipotle to Nate Archibald in modern times, I know he'd go goo goo
Oh,
gaga.
yeah, boy, if he had an app in present day, he would have so many reward points on that Chipotle app.
But there is something that Nate is going goo goo gaga for currently at the black and white ball because he is bringing Jenny in a dress that makes her look, quote, like an angel with the best set of bazongas he's ever seen. So, he
I'm gonna
won
get that
something.
tattooed on my lower back.
Best set of bazongas.
There's also this famous like musician at this party named Flo. We don't get much description of him other than that like he's famous and attractive and everybody loves him. And Nate, also distracted by his angel with the huge bazongas, sees Blair's little booty walking near him and is like, oh shit, my ex is still so hot. So Nate's once again wanting the best of both worlds.
You know what's great too is like Blair didn't even orchestrate it. Usually you get really hot, so the
Yeah.
ex misses you, but Blair is just like naturally so hot that she has Nate reconsidering everything, which is pretty
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, literally turning his head.
Yeah.
Flo, this famous guy, invites Serena to come into his limo because he's gonna go out. But Jenny's not thinking about famous people in limos. She is thinking about how she wants Nate, her boyfriend of 3.5 weeks, to say "I love
Oh my god.
you." But they all decide to get into the limo anyway to party with Flo.
Equally as romantic as Jenny, a freshman, being in love with her senior boyfriend after 3 weeks, Dan is biting Vanessa's nails off for her. Um,
Ick.
and
Huge ick from me.
I
Can I get a huge ick from the back?
and they are going to kind of talk about her history hooking up with her ex-boyfriend. He can't really stop thinking about the fact that she has had sex with other people. He's comparing himself to them. He kind of seems to want like a married at first sight sex after marriage type thing.
This entire passage was crazy to me because, like, Dan, like, is awful. I hate Dan so much. Like, so he is a virgin. He is mad that his girlfriend has had sex, but he doesn't want to have sex because, like you said, he kind of wants to fall in love and get married immediately, and then they orchestrate sweet music with their bodies together for the first time.
Yeah, and Vanessa's like
Dan's a
bending
little bitch.
over backwards to make him feel not inadequate. She is like, no, 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 Dan, you're great. I'm okay with waiting. And you know, I really think like it would be helpful to like colleges too if maybe you took the opportunity to put your writing out there. Like she's doing all the good girlfriend
She's being a
things.
great girlfriend. She's being a great girlfriend. And, and also like Vanessa is being like, it's okay if you want to wait. But Vanessa's also worried, like, I don't want to date someone who wants to wait till marriage to have sex because I'm a teenager. Why would I do that?
Yeah, I feel like once you're like 17 and you just kick the door open, it's like a dog scooting his ass on the rug. You know,
Yeah,
you gotta
you gotta keep the suck and the fuck alive.
you gotta drag that clit across the living room. Get carpet burn.
I feel like I've learned just a lot about you in that one brief sentence, Maggie.
So we go to Popstar Flo's limo after the ball. And Blair has decided, fuck it. I'm gonna flirt with my stepbrother's friend, Sugar Ray Miles. I don't know. What's the Sugar Ray guy's name again?
Mark McGrath. I'm pretty sure it's Mark McGrath.
I think you're right.
Mark Miles is formerly known as Mark McGrath from Sugar Ray.
Mark McGrath, there's this one thing I love about him that on cameos, someone paid him to break up with their boyfriend. And it's like one of my favorite cameos. But
Oh, you have to send that to me. I want to watch that
my
so
thing.
badly.
And meanwhile, Flo, I wrote Flo from Progressive. That's not true. Flo is putting the moves on Serena.
Yeah. And Jenny gets overwhelmed in this limo and she makes Nate leave this celebrity's limo so he can walk her home. And Jenny runs into Vanessa and Dan and she's like, "Hey guys, what do you think about Nate?" And they're like, "We don't know him." And she's basically just like, "Yeah, I want to be in love with him." It's very weird. It's very, very freshman. She's expecting the stars to align and she has her betrothed forever.
Yeah, Dan takes a break
Um,
from biting off Vanessa's toenails to be like, I think my sister deserves better.
the biting off toenails thing is so fucking weird to
Can
me.
you
If
imagine?
anybody
Oh,
if
God.
anybody ever wanted to do that to me, I would vehemently deny them access to do so.
Like, I've had people that I've dated pop pimples of mine, and, pick or tweeze my eyebrows and sometimes pick my chin hairs, but I don't
But did they
biting
do any of that with their
fingernails.
mouth? Did they
No!
bite off your eyebrows? Did they bite your zits open? That's
That'd
weird.
be so strange.
There's things you don't do with your mouth, and that is one of them.
Yeah,
Half the group does fall asleep in this limo,
love it.
and Blair gets a Sharpie somehow and decides to draw on Chuck, which is great because Chuck is awful. And now they're at the club, and Aaron's all pressed because he is so in love with Blair. So he just kind of temper tantrums his way across stage left to leave. And Miles and Blair end up kissing.
They do. She's embracing spontaneity.
Yeah.
Um, they have some exams going on the next day, not that important. Blair thinks that her teacher might have a crush on her, which that plot line amounts to nothing.
Weird. Hated that.
And every teacher, every student is asking Serena for her autograph because they think that she is not only dating super pop star Flo, but that maybe they're gonna get engaged. Who knows? Celebrity
Yeah.
tabloids, man.
Ooh. She's a little socialite. Meanwhile, in the boys' school midterms, we get a brief check-in where Chuck is trying to cheat off Dan. We don't know if that works well or not for either party.
No.
And then we also get a little cutaway scene that Nate is texting Jenny and still comparing Jenny to Blair in his mind constantly. He's like, man, Blair, she was always there for me. She was amazing. We've known each other our whole lives, but Jenny has huge tits.
Angel bazongas.
My
And he does
little
kinda
angel bazonga babe.
yeah. He kinda comes to the conclusion of, like, weighing his pros and cons. He's like, "Well, Blair and I are
Yeah.
both seniors, you know, and I guess Jenny will always just kinda be at home for me to pick up again when I want." So it's kind of a tough decision.
Jenny's constantly available to me, and Blair actually tries to make me a better person. And Jenny will do anything to make me happy. So, really, it's hard. It's really hard.
Yeah, Jenny's trying to keep a low profile in health class because she's discussing boys with the teacher. And as we know, Jenny, 3 weeks of being in love, she sometimes says like way too much. And she's kind of nervous that if she asks for any sage advice on like sex or boys, that people are in her class are going to think that her and Nate are hooking up. Um,
Yeah.
but she's not there yet. She's wants to say I love you first and then have sex, you know, as you should.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm glad that she has some sort of boundary because she's really just kind of glided through the past few books, just kind of like letting things happen to her.
I do think, I mean, in hindsight, it is so funny to think of like being 17 again because it really was so important for me to have someone say that they loved me before having sex with me.
Oh
Um,
my god,
and
right?
maybe that is actually how it should be. Like, I was just dogging on it, but I'm like, that's kind of nice. I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah, I do get like I think as I've gotten older and had many a situationship with many a person, you kind of realize like, oh, it is kind of nice to be in love with someone that you are having sex with. But also like casual sex is fun too. We can't knock
Casual
on
sex is
that.
so fun. It is true. I'm just in my Mormon phase, I guess.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah. I love how you've discovered
yeah,
Mormonism
Mormonism.
lately.
I know. Catch me at the bar looking like a haunted woman. I'll get that floor length nightgown out. No one can see my ankles.
You're holding like what like in a Christmas Carol when he's holding like the
The little
single
candle,
candle.
yeah. That's me.
Meanwhile, Blair's checking in with her guidance counselor because, as we know, she fucked up her Yale interview, and so she's like, "My essays gotta get me in." And the guidance counselor's like, "Hey, Blair, your essay that you're writing that's only about Audrey Hepburn that feels like a weird research paper about her, it's bad. Like, no college is gonna give a shit about this."
Yeah, the college advisor's like, "What about, like, her volunteer work? Do you relate to, like, any of that?" And Blair's like, "No, no, 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 no. I just want the cosmopolitan Audrey Hepburn."
Blair's literally like, "No, I just relate to her in the way that she is pretty." And is a rich person.
Yeah, exactly. She runs into Katie and Isabel out in the hall after this, and she just gets the rumor started that Serena and Flo are engaged, because fuck it, why not?
Perfect.
YOLO.
Boost your friends up, honestly.
Boost them up.
Um, Nate and Jenny are gonna go Christmas shopping for each other at a department store, as they do. And Nate ends up buying her like lingerie to basically insinuate that they should be fucking. And they do end up running into Serena and Blair there. And boy, poor Jenny, who again is 14, very uncomfortable with all of the happenings.
Yeah, it seems like Serena and Blair kind of like mess with them a little bit, which annoys Jenny. And then when Serena and Blair kind of turn to leave after all of this, Nate is like, "Hey, Jenny, you want to do something fun tomorrow? You want to go see the Nutcracker?"
And she says yes, because Jenny will do anything to be with Nate. Meanwhile, we do check in with Dan, who is trying to communicate all his thoughts and feelings about sex, knowing his girlfriend is impure. And he's having a hard time writing about sex because he has never had it.
Yeah, exactly. He's having a crisis of confidence over some egg rolls. Vanessa, meanwhile, she's gonna push the pedal to the metal. She goes into Victoria's Secret to shop. She finds something she likes. She gets the classic Victoria's Secret first interaction of them like oversizing your boobs to be like, wow, your 36 A's are actually a 34 double D's. So
You know, I will say though, one time I got measured at Victoria's Secret. I went and got measured at like another like place down the mall, and it was equal. Like literally, like I fit into the same Victoria's Secret size as like a normal bra too. Like they didn't do me wrong.
you know, I actually, yeah, maybe I was a B. I just like also could fit into like a double A when I was younger. Now I'm probably like, I'm definitely a B, but
Oh my
yeah,
god, no, like, I was, like, a double A, and then the moment I went on birth control, I was a C cup all of a sudden, and I was like, "Okay, hell yeah."
hell yeah.
But, like, I was like, because like, normally I was just wearing, like, bralettes or, like, nothing because I didn't have to, and then all of a sudden I was like, "My tits move with every single thing I do now."
Yeah, it is wild once you hit that.
It was crazy.
I really feel like my boobs, not to derail the conversation, but I feel like my boobs didn't get bigger until I was like 25 or 26, actually.
Weird. No, I
Yeah.
feel like mine have recently gotten bigger again too, and maybe you get I feel like we do
Yes.
go through a second puberty as female body at, like, 25, you just get, like,
Mine have
more
too.
titty.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
Um,
Wow, boobs are weird. No one tells you this.
no
No one
one tells
tells
you
you
this.
this. They say you turn 13 and you get boobs. They don't tell you at 25 you get boobs again.
No, you get boobs
Boobs
again.
2, Revenge of the Boobs.
It's crazy. That's something that you guys, our young listeners, can look forward to. Um, Blair is trying to, obviously, like we said, rewrite her Audrey Hepburn college essay. And she and the rest of the crew are on the flight to St. Bart's. She's kind of being distracted by Miles, who honestly should probably distract her from writing this because she's trying to write the essay as like a screenplay of Audrey Hepburn's
Which is
day in the life at
is
Yale.
such a dumb idea.
I don't
To
know.
get into an Ivy League, come on. And Miles is like being like kind of clingy and like wanting a ton of attention from Blair. And Blair's like, I'm trying to be bookish and write my essay.
Yeah, she's
So
also
it's
getting
a whole
hit
thing. Oh, and
on
also,
by the flight
yeah, the
attendant.
pilot hits on her. It's weird.
He's like, "Listen, I know I'm supposed to be driving the plane, but you as a 17-year-old are driving me crazy, you know?"
Yeah, the plane is just plummeting through the sky, and he's like, "Hey, I just want you to know that I think your hair is really nice and you have a perky smile."
But don't worry, they're gonna make it to St. Bart's A-okay. They are going to be totally fine. At the Humphrey residence, Rufus Humphrey, who I kind of visualize as the embodiment of Professor Plum.
I thought you were gonna say Garfield the cat for some reason. I was like, I mean, I can see and feel like this guy hates Mondays and loves lasagna.
He does hate the rich and loves making weird
Yeah.
chili, so maybe he is
Yeah.
Garfield.
I don't know. Maybe okay, listeners, we've decided that he's a compromise between Professor Plum and Garfield the cat.
Like, he's just, like, not cool at all like the show, but he's making dinner for Dan. Vanessa's gonna be there. Jenny and Nate are coming. They're running a little bit late, and so is Vanessa because she has decided she's gonna just kinda, like, film an icicle tree.
Yeah, and also the worst thing about this is Dan, as like Rufus is getting prepped for this party, he is like, I want to have sex with Vanessa now in order for me to write about it in my craft writing because I need to have experiences so I can be an organic, true writer. Like, so he's not even trying to have sex with Vanessa because he loves her. It's so that he can move his career forward and maybe get a hot piece out of it. Like, it's awful.
Yeah, and God, I just whatever. That's Dan's whole dilemma.
Yeah, whatever. That's Dan's whole ordeal.
That's his whole ordeal, I guess. While Vanessa is filming this icicle tree, she crosses paths unknowingly with Jenny and Nate, who they just saw the Nutcracker Ballet. They're taking the long way home. Um, and Jenny kind of teases Nate that she's like wearing the thong that he bought her, and he starts chasing her. And I don't really know. I envision this like he like tackles her and she kind of just like buckles at the knees and goes face first down in the snow. And then he just
Yeah.
pulls her little jeans down and blows raspberries on her ass. And they are like
Like, and
they're across the river from Vanessa, and Vanessa's like filming this whole thing. I
like, honestly, it's so embarrassing to be like, I'm gonna tell my boyfriend that I love him, and then I'm being all sexy, and he literally pulls her pants down in public so he can blow raspberries on her ass.
I can't. If I told someone that I loved them for the first time and then they did that to me, I would be like, "Oh, okay."
What the fuck?
I don't think this is cute. I think you've just read too many John Green books.
Yeah, it's like, this is not an interesting to me.
She does say that she loves him again, though, and he responds in the affirmative that he also loves her back, which I don't know. I really don't know why he says that, but okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and meanwhile, Vanessa on her camcorder is like, "Oh yeah, this is good. I can't believe I'm getting this all on camera." Which is like weird, Vanessa. I don't know how you're going to use this footage at all.
I don't either. She always gets like slice of life, which I guess you can consider blowing raspberries on someone's ass a slice of life film.
I
Um,
like
I don't
I don't
know.
understand. Wait, now we have to talk about this for a second, cuz I don't understand Vanessa's like what she's trying to do in film, because like you said, she tries to get a lot of like real raw footage of like slice of life stuff, but she's not like focusing on being a documentarian. Like,
No.
she's still is like being into like narrative, and usually you're kind of like one way or the other,
Yeah.
because it's like, what are you trying to do, Vanessa? Because it's like, are you trying to use the real footage to tell a story? Because that's not something you're doing ever either.
Maybe she's just
So
getting a
who
ton of
knows?
B-roll, so if the local news station ever calls on her, she can be like, "Oh, I got that clip. I
she's
got
trying
that clip."
she's trying to put together a blooper reel of real life, so that way if anybody calls, she's like, I got 10 minutes of gags and goofs and people falling
I
over.
mean, listen, if she put Jenny falling down, slipping to a banana peel sound overlaid on it, and it's like, wait, that would get me.
She's she's trying to submit something to America's Funniest Home Videos. She actually doesn't want to be a director at all.
On the bougier side of life, Blair and Serena, they are in St. Bart's. Laura and I will be there soon too. Why not?
Yes.
And it seems like they're like just staying in the best place. They have the best suites in this hotel that
They all have
celebrities go to.
villas.
Yeah, they have villas.
Yeah.
They get some flowers
Yeah,
sent to
and
them from Katie and Isabel. And then Blair is like bantering with Miles, which Aaron hates. And then once they get to dinner, Aaron is like, it's like a paragraph long of Aaron just knowing how, being aware of Blair's breath, how she smells, her knee bumping into his, all this stuff.
yeah, and also what's worse about this is Blair's mother is making it no secret that she will not be drinking this trip.
Oh
So,
yeah.
she's probably about to drop a big old bomb on everybody.
Mhm.
Um, but back in the poor side of life, Vanessa finally shows up to the Humphrey party and ends up realizing that her footage is of Nate and Jenny. And she's like, "Oh no, this good footage I got, it was attached to real human beings." But she's not going to let that distract her, because while she's talking to Dan in his room, she's going to start just undressing to show him her Victoria's Secret things.
She's got her little tanga. I think that's what they called it on. Um
Yeah.
it's black because she has to wear everything black, and she kind of starts going for it, but Dan is like, this isn't the right time to lose my virginity. And Vanessa is feeling very dejected. She's like, okay, I should
Yeah.
go. And Dan's like, that's probably for the best, because then maybe I can write about me rejecting you now.
Yeah. Like, what's awful about this is Dan was all hyped for be like, I'm gonna tell Vanessa I want to have sex with her. That's why he brings her into the room.
Yeah,
And he's mad that she made a move before he did. And that's why he doesn't do it. Like, he is so awful.
I know. I don't
I hate
like,
him.
what do you want? You can't like narrate your whole life and control it, and then
Yeah, but that's what Dan wants.
I mean, you could write fiction. Maybe you should just write fiction. Jesus.
Yeah, because poetry's too intense, honestly. Meanwhile, Jenny is gonna show Nate, her boyfriend, the love of her life, her bedroom as well. And when she brings Nate in there,
Oh my god.
she's like, "Oh, and here's my little corner of paintings I've made of you, Nate." There's 6 paintings of Nate done in different artistical styles, and Nate is panicking. Right? Like, I don't think I ever thought I would say Nate is justified in his feelings in this book, but in this moment, I feel like it's a little justified. I would panic if somebody I'd been dating for 3 weeks had done 6 paintings of me. Paintings take so long to make.
I know, and there's 6. Oh my god. Like, I feel like I don't even know if I would wanna receive that after a year. I It seems
Maybe
like a
like
lot.
one, but six?
Yeah, 6 is a lot.
Woof.
So he gets a call from his friend, he fakes that it's something urgent so he can leave, as I probably would too, to be honest.
Yeah.
Serena and Blair, meanwhile, they are holed up in their hotel room, kind of hoping to avoid the boys. But Serena's over it. Blair's writing her thing. She's like, "No, I want to go out." She wants to go to the beach, so they go to this topless beach nearby where Aaron and Miles are like windsailing.
Windsurfing?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
So he's got to resist looking at his stepsister's boobs.
Like, and the funny thing about this scene is like Blair and Serena actively get up from sunbathing to cheer on Aaron as he's windsurfing. Then they're basically like, "Hi, Aaron, you're doing so good." And Aaron's like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, there's titties bouncing around." And Aaron crashes his windsail.
I think it is so funny. God.
This is very funny to me.
Um, Miles comes over and asks Blair if she's going to go to the Christmas Eve party, and Flo somehow is also at this resort, finds Serena, and he's like,
Yeah.
"I'm playing tonight at the Christmas Eve party, and I'm going to give you a gift." And what woman is not beholden to gifts? Love a little gift.
Yeah, but Serena very nonchalant about all of this. Also, I'm realizing Flo is giving very much like where in the world is Carmen San Diego, because Flo's just good at popping up,
Yeah.
sending a gift or knowing where somebody else is. He's a little mysterious spy.
Like, I really feel
Um
like this is what Serena needs, an independent person who has their own career,
yeah,
is not really around that much, and also
yeah,
can shower you with gifts and compliments. That's
that
great.
sounds great. That's great. That's great for you, Serena. Um, Vanessa's camera has also gone missing.
Uh-oh.
It's rumored that she left it at Rufus's and Dan's house, probably, um, or somewhere. But Rufus and Dan do end up seeing the video that she took on GossipGirl.com, because that has leaked on GossipGirl.com, and
Yeah.
Rufus decides to ground Jenny because of it, which is a little fucked up to me. Um,
Yeah.
and Dan recognizes Vanessa's eye for film, and he's so mad at her for taking a picture video of his poor little sister. And so he writes a poem about how she's a slut.
Which is so unfair. It was like Vanessa lent the camera to her sister who lent it to her friends, and then they
Yeah.
like it's not even Vanessa's fault. Whatever.
Yeah.
So Nate is in Mount Desert Island, Maine, taking some after show monster bong hits with his buddies when one of them asks if he has seen the video with Jenny, and he's like, "Nah, I'm not really with her. I don't know anything about that."
Ouch. He hasn't even told Jenny, and he's like, "Nah, I'm high, not doing it anymore. What video? Don't care, not dating her." Uh um Blair is skipping this party, meanwhile, this little Christmas Eve party, because she has to finish her screenplay for Yale. She is very studious now, that's her MO.
Yep.
And Serena ends up talking her into going. um and then they end up meeting with Aaron and Miles, and Aaron's trying his best to be like normal around Blair because he's in love with her now.
Yeah.
And it's he's not acting cool by any means necessary.
No, both Cyrus and Blair's mom announce that they are pregnant. Aaron has to
Woof.
take a breath of air from looking at how Blair's dress clings to her to be like, "What?" And Blair is so mad at this news that she decides she's going to dance with Miles and make out with him. And you know what? Maybe do more. Who knows?
My Who knows? My favorite thing about this whole pregnancy announcement is that her mom's also like, "And Blair and Aaron, since you are both are going off to college, one of your rooms is going to be turned into the baby's nursery. So anytime you are both visiting, you will be sharing a room together and sleeping in the same bed."
Oh my god, I know. Which I would be so mad about. I would be like, "No, we're not. That's not gonna happen."
Ugh. But Aaron and Serena do end up dancing while Blair is angry making out with Miles, so that's something.
Mhm.
And Blair ends up dragging Miles back to his villa so they can fuck because she's like, I want to get in, get fucked, and get out, which we have to respect.
Yes, I love that. Flo, in the meantime, comes over to kiss Serena, who's evasive. She says maybe she'll get breakfast with him. And her and Aaron, after dancing, Aaron's kind of in a mood. He's like, I want to go to my room. And Serena's like, oh, you know what? Actually, I kind of want to swim in the ocean.
Yeah.
Which awesome. I love that. I would do the same thing. That's
Yeah.
so fun.
Absolutely. And Blair is now naked in Miles's bed, and she is so mad that Miles is taking his sweet time, just like
Sucking on her toe.
a sucking on her toe, kissing her body. He hasn't put the P in the V yet, and she is mad because she's like, I am on a time ticker here. We're supposed to get this over with so I can leave. And she's also thinking about Nate during this. And she's like, well, I'm gonna bail. This isn't worth my time.
Yeah, he's really focused on the I'm gonna make love to you, which is probably the most cringe thing. I hate that.
Worst thing I've ever heard, honestly.
No thanks. We gotta uncork and pork, pump and dump.
On cork and pork. And as if things couldn't get worse, as Blair is nakedly being like, where's my dress?
Uh-oh.
Aaron shows up so he can brood in his villa, and he just staring at Blair's naked body.
Oh my god,
Ooh,
she's so mad. She's like fucking pervert. She leaves. She's gonna go jump into the ocean. And she sees Serena. She's like, I think that I want to go home tomorrow. And when they get back to the villa, there's a parrot that Flo has sent Serena to, I think, ask to marry him. And she's like, you know what?
yeah.
I'll go with you.
Yeah, the parrot is like saying marry me over and over again, and they're like, you know what? St. Bart's isn't for us right now, and that's okay.
It isn't, no. Jenny, meanwhile, who is grounded, decides, you know what? Maybe Nate didn't get the message the first time with the 6 portraits, so I'm gonna make more stuff for Nate, including a care package with a locket of her hair in it. Nuts.
Insane.
Why?
Insane.
And
Um
Dan tells Vanessa that he wrote a poem, which I think Laura is going to read.
Yeah, I pulled it up. I was like, I think we have to read the slut poem together because we can talk about it. But why talk about it when we can read it out loud? So this is page 166. This is Dan's slut poem. Wipe the sleep from my eyes and pour me another cup. I see what you've been trying to tell me all along, shaving your head and handling me so delicately with satin and lace. You're a whore.
To send that to your girlfriend, like,
He's literally like, you've been trying to seduce me, you bitch. Like, that is awful.
so he is, trying to work on this poem, sends it to her, and she gets it, and she's like, "Oh God, I am so sad, but I am proud of him."
Yeah.
So
She's like,
she's
because Vanessa, still a good girlfriend, sends it to the New Yorker because she's like, Dan's never going to submit his work. I'll do it for him.
God. We, in contrast to the Sluts poem, get pages of Blair's Audrey Hepburn play, and it kind of honestly read like the Private series, to be honest.
Yeah. It's so read like the private
Yeah, and
series.
so did.
It so did.
Serena is going to plan a New Year's Eve party with Caddy and Isabel, and Nate is unwrapping Jenny's care package. Doesn't really blink an eye at the hair thing. Actually, kind of appreciates it because he's like, that's something that Blair would do. And he gets a call from Serena that essentially lays out that Blair is going to be at her New Year's Eve party. So he's like, all right, bet. I'm going to go.
All right, bet. And Dan, apparently New Yorker has a fast turnaround time for submissions because his poem is in the New Yorker and he is mad because how dare Vanessa submit his work that he was never going to do anything with. And
For
he's going to go talk
$800.
to her in
He's
person
getting
because he's mad.
$800 for it, and he's mad.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, he's mad that like Vanessa violated him once again.
so rude.
And yeah, and somehow a director has also seen this little butt raspberry video and is like, that's promising. I have to talk to Vanessa. So Vanessa gets an AIM message from a famous director.
Ken Mogul, creator of the movie
Yeah.
Seahorse with Tobey Maguire, you mean? That's who DMs her. Um, she's like, "You know what? Sure, maybe we can meet up. I don't know if this is just bait or not. I don't know."
Yeah.
It is the night of Serena's party. Jenny is headed there alone because Nate isn't picking up her calls. But Nate tells Blair at the party that
Ew.
him and Jenny broke up. So Jenny is about to get a whole earful of stuff.
Yeah, but Blair's like, whatever, we're catching up. Aaron does see Nate and Blair talking together, and he's like, man, it's not worth it, my guy. And he dances with Serena once again as a consolation, I guess. Um,
Yeah, wild.
and Vanessa's like, I'm an artiste. I'm spending New Year's Eve in New York, filming in the park to get my slice of life, blooper reel, reality, little tidbits, and see if this director shows up.
Yes, Ken Mogul does show up. He sits down on a bench to watch her. Dan eventually also finds her here to give her a piece of his mind, sits next to Ken. They're kind of discussing, more so Ken is, how beautiful Vanessa is. And this is when Dan decides that now that another man wants stake in his claims, he's going to start forgiving her in his head.
Oh my god, that was the worst where Ken Mogul's basically just like, wow, Vanessa's hot and she's good at this. And he's like, yeah, she's mine. She's mine, I
She's
own
mine.
her. That's my property.
Yeah,
It's so stupid that it's like, yeah, now he's calmed down because another man has told him that his girlfriend is pretty.
so stupid.
Um Jenny does go to the party. She sees Nate and Blair talking together. She goes up to tell him to go fuck himself, which great for Jenny standing up for herself finally.
Mhm.
And Blair finally kind of realizes, like, wow, Nate's still Nate. He is not the leading man that I want. And she waltzes away and says, have a good night.
She does. She doesn't kiss him. She just leaves.
Yeah.
Flo shows up, the standout, the MVP of the book, as Serena is trying to go to the balcony with Aaron. Oh, Flo sings her a song that he wrote, but I mean, she's out there on that balcony. Um,
It's so embarrassing because he's like playing this like very like heartfelt acoustic song and he's closing his eyes to sing. And
yeah,
while his eyes are closed, she decides to walk away.
yeah. Oh my
She's like,
gosh,
yeah, he'll be fine.
he'll be fine. He'll be fine. Um,
He'll be fine.
Chuck tries to kiss Blair at midnight. She's like, how about you go kiss Caddy and Isabel because they love you. And like we said,
Yeah.
Vanessa has turned down Ken Mogul for her midnight kiss with Dan. Um,
Yeah.
consolation
They make up
prize.
on the bench.
Yeah.
Flo, downtrodden, rejected, dejected by Serena. He leaves, sees Jenny's angel bazongas, decides to hit on her really quick.
Full
Jenny's not in the
circle.
mood. She's grieving her breakup.
Yeah.
And Aaron and Serena decide to kiss after the fireworks because it's midnight and the fireworks are going off. And they say, let's wait till the fireworks go off and then we can
And
kiss.
Blair's out there too,
And
wishing them both a happy new
yeah.
year.
Yep. And then they kind of wrap up that, Aaron and Serena are kind of hanging out. Blair's not dating Nate. Nate's not dating anybody. And Dan and Vanessa are still Dan and Vanessa-ing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of where this book ends.
Kind of where we end. And we were
Yeah.
thinking, since sending a parrot is such a unique, distinct decision for a proposal,
Every girl dreams of being sent a parrot while you're on St. Bart's vacation time.
the parrot says, "Marry me, Serena." That's all that the parrot says. We were thinking that the alternative would be top 5 ways Flo could have proposed to Serena instead of the parakeet.
Yeah, mate, you should start.
All right, coming in at number 5, I was thinking just a good old fashioned early 2010s flash mob.
Honestly, bring the proposal flash mob back. I feel like that, like, they had their heyday from like 2010 to like 2014,
Yeah,
and then they kind of fell off because they were like flash mobs require a lot of work and are kind of hokey, and I think we need to bring them back.
yeah, we need to stop hating everything and embrace cringe in the form of Firework by Katy Perry, performed by 30
Exactly. And why
strangers.
was every flash mob to Firework by Katy Perry or a Bruno Mars
I
song?
don't know. I don't know.
Number 4, we think, Flo's done a lot of work. Maybe it's time for Serena to do something for the relationship. So we're gonna have her do a scavenger hunt that will probably lead to some like candlelit any place where Flo will propose.
I think that that would be beautiful. I would love to see that happen. Number 3, directly opposite to the scavenger hunt, I think Flo
This is equally beautiful and something I would also like to see happen, so.
Flo should have swallowed the ring and vomited it out on stage. It might have been more effective than writing her song.
Yeah, and honestly, I think the hardest part about getting engaged is, like, the ring's so cold when you put it on.
Yes.
So if it's been sitting in his stomach for a little bit and then he vomits it up, hot ring straight off the presses.
Fall is soup season, do it in autumn.
Yeah, do it in autumn. And then number 2, this is something that Maggie and I agreed is one of the best proposals that anybody can do, whereas they have somebody edit them or animate them into like a Disney scene, and they get it to play as a preview before the movie starts, and then the entire theater is filled with your friends and family.
Mhm.
So that would be great if he did that because that's a win
That'd be
all the
awesome.
time.
And then, number 1, we were kind of thinking something really epic, something really huge, such as maybe skydiving onto a pirate ship in the middle of a hurricane, landing on your knee, being in formation, popping out that ring. C'est la vie.
That makes perfect sense to me. It doesn't require any further descriptions or anything like that.
No questions, no answers.
Yeah, nobody comment, question, or criteria that. That's what it is. Maggie, who's your canceled character of this book?
I mean, God, it's gotta be Dan. I think
It's gotta be
I
Dan.
think I'd be so heartbroken if, the person that I was dating and loved sent me a poem about me being a slut and I didn't even leak the I'd be like, "I don't know what's going on."
Yeah, Dan's awful. I cannot believe he did that. I mean, I can. I can believe Dan did that.
Yeah,
I'm not a Dan empathist or sympathist. I can totally see Dan doing that. He's an awful person.
he is.
And I cannot wait to see what awful thing he does next.
And he will do something next. And if you wanna see what awful things Laura and I are doing next, you can follow us on Twitter and TikTok at Yeah We Read It. We are also on Instagram at Meggie_and_Laura.
And if you want to ask us about what awful things we're doing right now, you can always email us, Maggie and Laura present at gmail.com.
Oh, we'd love our little emails. Give us more emails.
Love an email, give it, give it, give it.
And that is going to be it for this episode. I almost ended it by being like, and we would like to thank our sponsors, Flaming Hot Cheetos, but we're not there yet. Um,
Oh, I would love to thank our hopeful sponsors, Flaming Hot Cheetos. If you're listening out there, Chester Cheetah, Mr. Chester, give us a hot ring and we will be flaming hot on this podcast just for
and
you.
we'll vomit it back up on stage. And
Hell yeah.
that is going to be it for us. So we will see you next week with the fourth book. I don't know the name of.
Yeah, I was realizing all these books names kind of blend together. Fourth book's called Because I'm Worth It.
Oh,
And Maggie and I
sexy.
are worth it, and so are you. Thank you for listening.